Assalamu alaikum. Sulman Rahim here, breaker of the seven seals, messenger of the covenant. Welcome. This is critical analytics. Our topic today are the last plagues. There's two sets of plagues, two major sets of plagues in the Injil. There's the seven trumpet plagues and seven bowls. They're not the same as ignorant Ishmael, Farrakhan's spokesman, claims. The last plagues are not the seven trumpets. They have not broken the seals. They have no idea what they're talking about. They should shut up if they don't know what they're talking about, because that means they could be deceiving people. But they don't mind deceiving people, because that's what their job is. Because if you don't know, you should say you don't know. But they don't know, but they're trying to convince people that they do. They haven't broken the seals. That means they have no idea what Revelation is talking about. And anyone who has not broken the seals has no idea what the angel called Revelations is talking about. So they need to shut up. But you have all kinds of people all over the planet talking about Revelation as though they know what it's talking about. Yet it tells you itself that the book is sealed. If it's sealed and they haven't broken the seals, then how do they know what they're talking about? So we can talk about the seven last plagues. Now, I've not talked about this before because it's very complicated. But I'm going to give you the short version. The full version is very complicated. You have to be very up on the seals, up on the symbols, up on just Revelation in general, angel in general, because they take to another level here. So I don't talk about it. Another reason I don't talk about it because it's primarily talking about what happens after we leave. See, so I've been concerned about getting us home. Once we get home, that's another situation. This will happen to our enemies after we leave. See? So I didn't think that was, it's important, but it's not critical for us to know unless it has, what's the word they use, has the effect of a discouraging effect of, of you not paying attention, staying here, right? You do some things because you just want a deterrence. That's the word I want to use. Has a deterrence effect. Say, oh man, those things are going to happen. I better not be here. So if it has that effect, then good. Otherwise, it's about what happens after we leave. I'm more concerned about what happens before we leave and how it gets out of here. But like I said, it has a deterrence effect to wake you up. Then that's all to the good. So we see, if we understand it clearly, see, these are the seven plagues of the God, Master Prophet Muhammad, and the high priest upon America primarily, and our enemies in general. So you see, as we go along, we're going to walk through it. Except I'm giving you a short version. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this because, like I said, it's not that crucial. But you need to understand. Well, you don't need to understand it at this point. But if you question, you need to know what you're talking about. And this might help you in understanding angel in general, because I said this is more advanced, and you see how the symbols are moving around, how they use. We got to be very careful here. This gets almost into like the Daniel territory, right? Because a lot of people get this confused. They think the seven last plagues, the seven bowls, or seven trumpets, are not. So let's go and see what we can do with it. Okay, here's the first one. Now, remember, this is after we leave, so this is after the ark is built. We're gone. See, because the Shia is not coming over here, so we're over there. This is after Master Prophet Muhammad has delivered, David or Michael had delivered us, right? See, those in the Lamb's Book of Life. This occurs after that's happened. The demons are cast out, separated. No, we're gone. Okay, so let's look at this person. Now, I'm going to read some of these things. Maybe I'm not read all of it, right? But you can read it. Remember the transliteral version. Don't get lost in the King James version because they lose a lot of detail. And these things you never understand the angel with the King James version. Heard great voice out of the divine habitation saying to the 7 angels, be you going under and be you pouring out the 7 bowls of the anger of God into the earth. That enter is a very important. I'm not going to go into detail about it because sometimes they enter, sometimes they upon, sometimes they say enter, sometimes they say upon, right? And and that makes a difference, but it's less salty. I don't think it's necessary to explain here. Pour out the 7 bowls of anger of God into the earth. Now that's primarily European countries, right? And when of the first he poured out the bowl of him into the earth, and came also bad and wicked upon the men that having a graven on the wild beast and the worst image of it. Now we know those understand chapter 13 is about the 666. Let's talk about the demons, right? And it's also talking about America, because America supports, right? False Israel. So they had the mark of the beast. See, they told the mark of the beast. They're trying to figure out what the mark of the beast is. The mark of the beast is already here. Because they're so blind, they're blind to the fact that they can't accept that they're devils, they can't accept that false Israel is false. So therefore they make all these great, grandiose ideas and all this stuff, trying to get around the simple fact that they're devils and they worship Satan. They're doing the works of Satan. Genocide, murder, stealing people's lands, rape, oppression. How you oppress people? By terrorism. America's a terrorist country. But they can't accept that. Oh no, we with God. Is that the way God rolls? With genocide, murder, rape? What God rolls like that? That's Satan. That's why you mostly see Christians over here. They don't put a name on God. They say God we trust. God bless America. What God you talk? Ask them what God they talking about. Because they tell you what God says. Is that the way God rolls? Does he rolls by stealing people's land, genocide, murder, rape, oppression, terrorism? Because if that's the way God rolls, then what the hell he got a problem with Satan for? Maybe we should we should roll with Satan. If that's the way God rolls, they're the God they talking about. So we know who they are. So there it is. So they got a great ulcer, right? Went off and also came. In other words, them hit with a severe disease. See, because think about it. We're going. Remember, it's going to be famine in this country. Nothing's going to grow. They're not going to be whether it grows or not. That's not the point. The point is there's not going to be any food in supermarkets. It said they're going to be starving. It said we're going to eat their own children. Right? It says men will be in their sons and sons will be in their fathers and back so forth and so on. Right? So this is going to happen in a very short time. And when you have hunger like that, when you have starvation, disease comes right behind it. See, that's what it's talking about. See, so this was going to be that's one of the this is a result of hunger, starvation. See, that's the first plague. See. Okay, let's go to the next one. So, like I said, I'm giving you a short version. Then the second one boiled him in the sea and became blood, as dead of every soul of life died in the sea. Okay, what this is referencing is that, now, remember, America's fallen, Babylon's fallen, Gog and Magog is fallen, right? And America and Britain is at war with China and Russia. Have you paying attention to the news? I mean, I got clips. Everything I've been saying for years, now they're saying in open. They're saying that America is be at war with Russia soon. They'll also be at war with EU too, because they think EU is going to be on their side. No, they're going to turn against them, right? They're going to be on the side of Russia. But they said, America's getting ready to go to war. America's getting ready to go to war with Russia. America's getting ready to go to war with China. I've been saying it for years. I got the proof. And in fact, y'all have to go back for years. Nobody was talking like this 2 years ago. And some of those people that are listening been paying attention to this for at least 2 years, and nothing like this was even mentioned. Now it's mentioned every day. And it's getting hotter, hotter every day. So in this case, what it's talking about is that Britain is taken out. It's taken out, wiped out by China. China is going to war with the ram, the goat and the ram. Got two horns. But it's going to take out Britain before it takes out America. It'll wipe Britain out first, takes out America. Britain's easier to target. It's an island country, right? It's going to take them out first. See? And wipe them out first. So let's talk about here. See? Just going to wipe them out. So Magog will be the first one to be totally wiped out. And then the following, then the invasion of America will follow that. So let's talk about here. In addition to that, right? Maybe I should go back and look at this. Let me point this out here. In addition to that, right? That blood there means these are Africans. There's a lot of Africans in Britain. They're going to tear Britain apart. Tear it apart. See? They can fight with each other. Britain's going to try to take them out too. Britain's going to try to take them out. Remember, Adam and Eve, God and Magog are going to attack us. Right? So they're going to be attacking them, and they're going to be fighting with each other. Because they realize who the true seed of Abraham is, but they ain't taking no chances. They're not the seed of Abraham, but they're black. So I thought I'd mention that. Then the third pour out of the bowl of him into the rivers and the fountains of waters. See? And basically, saying they was giving blood to drink. See? So it's talking about Sunni land, House of Saud. See? Because what it's saying here is that these are Africans, right? That's going to attack them. It's going to attack them. See? That's what I'm saying here. So, because now they're on their knees, they've been already. Middle East has been taken over by the Shia. So they're going to be on the attack by African countries. Because see, a lot of African countries have a problem with House of Saud because they go in and enslave black folks. I mean, they don't like black people over there. Especially Africans, especially what they consider non-Islamic Africans, Christian Africans. They enslave them, right? And rape them, bring them over for us, forcibly concubines, all that kind of stuff they do. Okay? They have a history of doing that, enslaving black people. They have a history of doing it. And right now, in Libya, they're really bad with that. Well, I don't know if I use the word really bad, but in Libya right now, and they took out Gaddafi, because Gaddafi was cooperating with the black African countries, and they took him out partly for that reason. And now you go over there now, if you're black, they're enslaving you, they're beating you, they're torturing you, they're raping you. You don't ever want to be a black African in Libya right now. That's what it's talking about. See, so it says they were made to drink blood. See? but said all the things they did, right? Because blood of holy prophets you poured out. See, what it's talking about, that's the truth. Because they, remember, they're Hindus, pretend to be Muslims. See? And anybody that stands up, that opposes them, and try to stand up for and represent what the Prophet Muhammad actually taught, and take them out. Cut their heads off. See? Because they're the jinn. They're not Muslim. They're the jinn. You better understand that. So I'm giving you a short version here. Then the fourth poured his bowl out upon the sun. Some of these verses say into, some say upon. That's meaningful. I'm not going to go. I put it, I highlight in red. If you want to study it, figure it out, have at it. Like I'm not going to detail explanation of this because, like I said, that's not my main concern right now. It is very complicated. See, I'm trying to talk you through it, try to explain it to you, but you see these symbols are changing, right? And you have to, and actually it gets more complicated as we get into it. And you have to try to first get the symbols right, then you got to try to figure out what is they trying to tell you. And the fourth poured his bowl out upon the sun. See, these are similar to the trumpets, but they're not the trumpets. And remember, who's pouring these out? These are, right, these seven angels are the ones on top there. The elect, Seer Ran, the rainbow, Master Fraud, Muhammad, he's the God that's causing them doing all this, right? That's not the seven trumpets or African nations. This represents them. See, so they was casted, they was covered with white cloth, and we go. See, we got to read all that clear. I'm not going into that detail. Like I said, I'm not going into a lot of detail here. And the fourth poured out his bowl upon the sun. He gave it to him to scorch the men in fire. See, this is Master Prophet Muhammad. He's given, says he's a God having authority upon these plagues. See, they want to curse him because he's the one that's doing it to them. See, scorch the men, scorching great, and they blaspheme the name of the God having authority upon these plagues. That's Master Prophet Muhammad. See? They still refuse to worship him. We don't care. Anyway, understand here? Excuse me. I'm getting over this COVID thing, and it's almost over. So I guess it'll be a couple more days. First time I was coughing, it's now all day long. I haven't coughed at all just now. Well, maybe because I've been talking. Maybe that's what it. I don't know. Like I said, I don't do a lot of talking over these videos, these presentations. And so that's what's happening here. See? So it's pointing out who's the one that's plaguing them. See? Because they've been punished for what they did, right? Because the Sunnis are enemies, right? The dragon is the Sunnis, right? False Israel, we're going to talk about that in a minute, right? The demons, right? God and Magog. So this consequence, this judgment, they've been punished now. They've been judged now, right? Been sentenced, punished. And the fifth poured his bowl upon the throne of the wild beast. See, who's the throne? It's the wild beast. That's false Israel. But see, this way you got to be real clever here, because what was the throne of him? The throne was that greenish yellow one. That was the throne. See? Because he's not sitting on the throne anymore. It says throne on his throne. So it's thrown out. So it's the fifth poured his bowl upon the throne of the wild beast, and came the kingdom and have been darkened. So it's all dark now. Right? See? Because Suleiman's not there anymore. See? And they were chewing the tongues of them. Those are tongues. Remember? The tongue, the mouth, those are also mouths. Right? Those they're demons, their mouths. So it means their mouths, what's in the mouth? The tongue. Right? So I said, you have to get very careful here. They were chewing the tongues of them out of pain. They blasphemed the God of the heaven. They blasphemed Master Prophet Muhammad out of the pains of them. They blasphemed the God of the heavens, talking about him and Suleiman, right? Out of the pains of them, out of the ulcers of them, and they repented not out of the works of them. See? So they have ulcers too. Because they had the mark of the beast too, 666. So they're here too. I mean, they're starving too. So they're diseased, a very, very terrible disease. See? And hunger, famine. That's what we suffer after we leave. So it said to be eating their own children. Children be gray-headed. Time unprecedented trouble. That's what it's telling you. So the pain is going to be so severe. That's on top of the hunger pains. And the sixth poured the bowl of him upon the river, the great Euphrates, and would dry the water of it in order that they might prepare the way of the kings of the rising of the sun. Now see this very careful here, because here it is, he says, the great Euphrates, and drop the water of it. Right? So we know the water represents the Sunnis, right? The Arabs. Right? So water's dried up. See, prepare the way for the kings of the rising of the sun. Now we know the rising of the sun, the top represents the west, and the bottom represents the east. And that's where the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. That's what it's talking about. Those are the kings. Those are the 10 kings in chapter 17. Those are the kings, right? Then so I saw out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the wild beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits. See, those are spirits that are tongues. Those are demons. Those are unclean spirits, right? And doing signs, which upon the kings of the being habited whole. See, that's the kings, right? They connected with the kings now. That's in their position. See, all the kings. See, which is going out, these demons, right? They're connected with the kings and inhabit whole to lead them to the war, the great day, God Almighty. You see? So what is that talking about here? In other words, they're leading. So if they're leading, they're in front, right? So they're leading into the war, right, of the great day, the war against the European countries. Because they're here, they're destabilizing the country. They're tearing the country apart, right? They soften up, so to speak, right? So it make it easier for China, the goat, to come in. That's the Great War they talk about. The Great War against the European countries by China, the goat, and India. As they talk about, that's why they would lead them. Those are the three unclean spirits, the 3 demons. See, so they tear this country apart. Remember, I said there'd be a 5-month plague. There'd be a 5-month plague where they're literally taking this country apart. That also represents, well, actually had them in the wrong place. The one, the throne should be in the center where the reddish tongue is. So that's my arrow, right? But they're tearing this country apart. And that also talks about Samson, see? Because the greenish one, that represents Samson. He's positioned between the 2 pillars, America and Britain, Gog and Magog, right? And he pushes, he's strong, right? But he doesn't have any, he didn't get his eyes, he didn't get his eyesight back, see? Because, right, he has the strength of the original, but he doesn't have the mind of the original. That's what it's talking about. Samson, he didn't have it. He didn't have the eyes. In other words, initially, right, he had eyes and strength. See, that was before we was corrupted. But they was corrupt. They was demons, so they had kept their strength. They lost their eyes. In other words, now they had the mind of Massa through rape. So they're demons. See, so now they got the strength of the original people, look like us, talk us. But they don't have the mind of the original people. See? But they went through slavery too. Because Samson was enslaved also. So he's powerful, but he didn't have the mind. His eyes never got his eyes back. That's what that means. Read the story carefully. So now, right, he's positioned between, once he got his strength back, right, he positioned him, he was angry because he was enslaved also. Right? So then he positioned himself between two pillars, which is America and Britain, Gog and Magog, and he pushed them and killed himself in the process. He destroyed them and killed himself in the process too. That's what's talking about right here. See? Because you're going to have 17 million of them running around tennis. 17 million. Hear me? 17 million. Might not pay attention to that number before, but you better pay attention to it now, because with 34 million, Angel tells 17 million, half of them are demons. You have 17 million running around here, tearing this country apart. And they feel like they have no choice because masters already tried to kill them in order to get to us. See? What it says, what about Herod, right? He tried to get rid of Jesus, so the Pharaoh tried to get him out, but they didn't know exactly who he was. They killed all of them that looked like him. All the babies in the same age group, the same thing going on here, right? They tried to kill all the blacks, trying to get to us. Because we the child, right? That's why it says the dragon stood by to devour the child as soon as it was born. Because if we allowed to be born, right, and escape, then we will, right, rule the nations. That's what it says. They wanted to kill Moses because they knew he was going to be the one that was going to save the people. They wanted to kill Jesus because he's going to be the one that's going to be the king and take over the world. So let me get rid of them before they could be born. So they didn't know exactly who. So they tried the shotgun effect to shoot everybody that's similar to them. So they're going to try to kill all the black people. And so they already tried to kill the demons. So now the demons are trying to get revenge. See, they finally wake up, realize Master, right, don't care about them either. But they have no choice. We don't want them. So they're really vengeful. And when you have nothing to lose, then what? They have nothing to lose. They just tear up everything. See? So that's why they said they're the ones that bring it down. So they're the ones leading this war, see, for the kings, right? They're leading the kings to America's. In other words, what it's saying is they're putting America in position so weak that they won't be able to, in other words, America be divided and while this territory, they can't focus on the Chinese approaching their borders. See? Because all they see is being torn apart. And so the military is so focused on that. How can they focus on the war? They're also already fighting over in Europe. See? So this destabilized America so much that it's pretty much easy pickings for the goat when he arrives. Hope you understand that, brother and sister. That's what it says, right? Lead them into the war, the great they are, right? That's the kings. The kings are having a hold. Who's the king? They told you who the kings were, right? See? And then this gives you another hint here. This is the seventh one. This one is really much more complicated than the other one. 6 was pretty complicated, but 7 is really more complicated. The 7th poured out his bowl upon the air, right? Now, the air is up top there, right? And it came voices great habitation from the throne was saying, it has occurred. What has occurred, right? See? Over final destruction of our enemies, at least the devils, right? It was occurred, and upon the voices, listen to this carefully, and occurred lightning. You know who the lightning are? Lightning represents the Orientals, right? Those of you who study ninja should understand that. Just read the first 4 trumpets, and you know the first one has earth, the second one's well, you're going to study it, right? It occurred lightning, right? Because that Orientals represent lightning, right? Thunder represents, I show it here, right? The Asian countries, right? That's not including the Arabs. That's thunder, right? Well, actually, it does include them, right? My part of me. It's the lightning that does. They don't mention 7 when they talk about lightning. They do represent using number 7 when they talk about thunder. But we're not talking about all the thunder in this case. They don't say all thunder. If they want to say all thunder, they would say 7 thunders. They're talking about those thunders, right? And shaking occurred great. Now shaking, right, that's in the European countries. So you're putting all these things together, they're laying this out. Thunders, lightning, voices, right? Who's the voices? The voices represents, right? The demons again, their voices. Their horses, their voices. See, their mouths. See how they put all this together here? So they put all that together to show you where we are in the sequence, in time, right? And became seated great in 3 parts. Now this happened in chapter 18, and that's complicated because in chapter 18, right, the seated great, that represents the European countries. I mentioned that in the previous presentation, but it's divided in 3 parts. It's talking about the woe, and the woe, right? I talk about that, right? It's divided in 3 parts. They get back to the times, and appointed times. So that's what it means. It means Europe, the European totally bankrupt. I mean, the economy is totally gone. So it's telling you at this time the economy is totally destroyed, right? Okay, and since nations fell, okay, what's something like that? It's talking about America and Britain. It's fallen. So that's already happened. So all those happened at the same time, right? And Babylon the Great. Who's Babylon the Great? See, Babylon, regular Babylon is America. But Babylon the Great represents false Israel. So Babylon the Great, right, is remembered, right, because they already got him, but now they remember to get him again, right? So it says, remember inside the God, the cup, the wine. So in other words, right, it's double, because what's the double? The point is that she already taken out, right? So she's hit, right? Also with the with the fire. So how should I say that? That's the first of the 4 winds. She's hit with that also. See? So this she's not pleading going yet. If she's pleading going again, it wouldn't make any sense with it. So anyway, so because great wrath. In other words, she get a double punishment. Because it says that in chapter 18, give her double. That's what it's talking about here. And said, and every island fled, and every mountain. Okay, this is primarily talking about what I have underlined there. See, so let's deal with that. Because let's deal with what I have underlined there. This is pretty much, this page right here talks about that. Right, just giving you setting up, show where how everything is positioned there. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. So then, okay, here we go. So then that's when this is, the 4 winds has blown, right? False Israel is taken out, the abomination of desolation, right? And what it's talking about here is that and this is where false Israel is double, the abomination of desolation, right? Because she's defeated and then lays siege to and then destroyed, right? And it says every mountain and every island fled, right? So in that case, right, that's already occurred because the original people have fled, right? And then you had the demons that separate, thrown out and everything, right? It said, and every mountain and mountains were not found. So like I said, this is very complicated. I'm not going to try to go into a lot of detail here. But what it's basically, let me go to the next page, maybe you understand it better. Because here it is, at this point, right, the mountains, the four winds, these 2 mountains are 4 winds, right? So now you have the demon plague going, false Israel has been taken out, that's abomination of desolation, right? And you got the demon plague, right, that lasts 5 months, okay? And America's at war with Russia and the EU, right? And at this point, right, and also with China. Okay, this is the part here. This is where it gets, I had to unline. I underlined too much of it. This should cover the last part. So what it's saying is, is that at this point, this is the point right here when China is about to invade. What it's telling you here is that the demon war lasts 5 months. In other words, once we're out of here, right, it'll be 5 months, right, before America's taken out. Because demon plague is going to last 5 months. Okay? So and they're already in a conflict with China and Russia. But China doesn't invade till 5 months later. Actually invade. That's the goal. But during that time, America's fighting with the demons. And they're fighting with the Africans, the non-Islamic Africans that are here. That's the four winds. So they're fighting with all blacks that are still here. Unfortunately for the Levites, they're still here too. See? But now they're engaged in the fight. They're engaged in defense, trying to get the hell, right? During that 5 months, they're trying to get, that's the tribulation period. They're trying to get to safety. They're told what to do, where to go, right? So they're trying to get to safety, they're trying to get as many black folks as still stragglers, that are still left behind. They're not demons, they're not vipers, they're still trying to wake them up. Because it said, when Michael delivered, he only delivered those in the Lamb's Book of Life. But it says, but then some woke up, some in everlasting life. They woke up in the tribulation. They weren't delivered. Some in everlasting life and some in everlasting shame and department. So demons are the ones fall in the category of everlasting shame and department, right? Because they go into destruction. But the Levites, those are the ones, right? They're everlasting life. But they have to go through tribulation to receive it. Because they didn't do their job. They were supposed to prepare the way between Suleiman and Elijah, and they didn't. In fact, they fell for the son of perdition, because it says the son of perdition made war with them for 42 years and overcome them. And they were deceived by him. They shouldn't have been, but they were. So now they got to stay behind, right? And because blood's on their hands, they got to sit around and collect and deliver as many black folks that's left behind that didn't wake up in time. Because if you don't wake up in time, you're going to be left behind. You got to wake up to be in the Lamb's Book of Life. So if you don't wake up in time, right, you'll be left behind. You see? So you say, oh, well, what about the resurrection? Everybody be resurrected, right? But that don't mean your lamb was in the Lamb's Book of Life, because there's a judgment going on there. And only those, right, that was prepared, had thorough knowledge of themselves, they're the only ones that are leaving. You have to have a thorough knowledge of self to leave. So if you wake up at that point in time, right? Say it's at that time, at deliverance, they will wake up. They didn't say they woke up after the deliverance. They woke up during the time of deliverance, which was too late to get themselves the knowledge of everything they needed. So now they got to go through this 5 months tribulation where the Levites are not only trying to get them home, but also trying to educate them, because now they've been taught what they need to know about the angel, what they need to know about themselves, because that's what Ancient of Days sets, right, and cleans them up. The son of the messenger of the covenant cleans them up and explains to them what they need to know, right? Teach them what they should have been teaching for that period of time. So now they got to go through, that's why it says in Daniel, they got to go through famine and sword and everything else in order to make white those, right? To clean up those was still unclean, that was left behind. So now they got to do it under intense fire. They have to be put back in the furnace. That's the silver. See, they bought that on themselves. Because I've been teaching for 30 years, they wouldn't listen. They bought that on themselves. See, they still won't listen now. And that's going to make it even worse for some of them, because some of them not even going to have the opportunity, right, to take advantage of that situation. They're going to be burned up altogether, destroyed altogether. See, but those, right, because these are the ones, right, that's going to take down Farrakhan in a few more days. Those are the ones with the separation, when the separation came about, where it took and separated those that was following Aaron from those, right, who was with Joshua. That's separation. See? And all the Aaron's followers was all wiped out. See? So that's what's about to happen. So these are elite that stood up. Finally, after all these years, all this teaching them, they finally got it and got threw out Lion Farrakhan, the demon. See? And then it's one of them, because when we see this right here, we see, if you understand this key here, Farad, he's the Lord, he's going to rule the whole thing. Suleiman, the son, is the high priest. It talks about that in chapter 21, 22 of the Injil, right? See? So, Suleiman's throne will be in Mecca. He's the high priest. Farad's throne, the king, the God, will be in Jerusalem. He'll control the whole affair. He's the God. And the Syria, Iran, they also, the iron that you see in Daniel, they're the rod of iron that he's going to rule the nations with. See? So then you got under him Elijah, right? Elijah will rule all the Levites, the continent of Africa. His throne will be in Africa, and what we know as Africa today. You see? So there you go. That's the sequence there. But then the one we see NOI, he's going to rule, right, all the Arabs. See, they're going to rule all the Arabs and other Muslims that fall in with them, right? That'll be where we're known as like Iran and Azerbaijan and all those places. See, that's going to be a new earth. And we don't know who that individual is yet. The angel doesn't reveal it. He's the one that's going to lead, right, the NOI to take out Lion Farrakhan. He'll be the one to sit on that throne. See, or maybe she. It may be a she. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Right? In Sunni land. Oh, that would be interesting. So that person has been identified, but you're going to know about him in a few days, because they're going to take out Farrakhan in a few days. Maybe doing it now. See, if you read it carefully, see, Suleiman doesn't go there. Read Mark. It says they came to him. Read Mark. It says they saw him far and they ran to him. They come to him. He didn't have to go there. They come to him. See? And Farrakhan, Legion, Chief Demon, they hold back. But they realize the game is up. They start begging, please don't make us leave the country. Right? We want to stay here with our swine daddies. But then they go over with their swine daddies, and swine daddies don't want to get to fight and go off the cliff. Because they don't want them either. They're between a proverbial rock and a hard place. So this is the situation here. Right? So in other words, they've wiped out the demons. See, the army, the military is wiping. They wiped out all the demons. They haven't got. They didn't get to the NOI because they're not really worried about them at that period of time. Because they're not fighting. They're just fleeing. They're trying to get at people. They're defensive. They're not the ones tearing the country. They're not the ones rioting. Not doing that kind of stuff, right? But they're staying out, trying to stay harm's way, trying to get their people together. So they're not worried about them primarily. They're worried about the ones that tear up their cities, and that's the African, non-Islamic African, and that's the demons. They're tearing this country apart, literally. And plus you got famine, you got all other stuff going on. So they're going to wipe them out, trying to get prepared for this war, because they see China approaching, right? And once they wipe them out, then they're going to go after NOI. That's what it said Exodus. They start chasing them, right? And they're running towards the Red Sea. And you understand the angel, understand what that means. They're running, and when they get there, then it's parted. See, because Master Muhammad's the two eyes on the goat that's guiding them. It tells you that in chapter 17. So he says, because he's the one that prevented America from using nuclear weapons. He made that's the agreement. They're not going to be able to use their nuclear weapons against you, right? So it's a lot more to it. Anyway, they part and let the NOI through. And then what happens? It says that the Red Sea closes in on Pharaoh's army and destroys it. That's the story, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. So that's what happens. So let's go to the next one. And that's Noah's flood. It said flood the whole earth. That's real Noah's flood. And the ark is up top there, right? And the ark was floating on the waters. How many people in the ark? 9 people in the ark, right? And the God was in the ark. And Noah was in the top, that little window in the top. It's right there, brothers and sisters. See? And the dove, that's the Iranians, the seer. It's all right there. And it was on the waters. But when the waters was part of the tribulation, because waters was part of doing the drowning. So it means the Shia, right? They're going to tribulation as long, not the Shia, but the Sunnis, and also with the NOI. They're going to tribulation too. But they saved out of it. That's that means, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. So I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I gave you the short version. Maybe one day we'll get into the long version. That's very complicated, but we got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to do, because we're already in it. In fact, we much more in it than you know, brothers and sisters. Like I said, a lot of things I just can't talk to you about. I just cannot talk to you about. See, because I'm talking to them too. But if you've been paying attention, even when I've told you, we're so far into this thing, you don't even understand how deep we're into it right now. But you're going to find a couple more days. See, because I've told a lot of things. I had the luck to even talk about some of the things I have talked about. But we're so deep into this right now, you'd be surprised. You're going to be surprised in a few days about a couple things happening that you didn't expect. Right? You knew about them, but you didn't expect what's happening like that. Okay, brothers and sisters, hope you understand. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it, brothers and sisters. We're going to leave it like that. Assalamu alaikum.